We are live, but before we get started, we want to make sure we have all of our platforms included for tonight's discussion. All right, and looks like we are good. Welcome in, everyone, to another installment of the Orange and Blue View. I am your host, Ron White. And you might be thinking, that's not Dylan on the other side of him. Where's Dylan? But Dylan had a prior engagement, but instead, I have my man KB filling in for Dylan tonight. KB, how are you doing today on this Saturday, my guy?
No, this is Dylan. It's just like that episode of The Office. You ever see where he had his Asian friend come in for him and say he was Jim?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
No, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm just enjoying my day off. I worked early this morning, but um, now I'm just kind of relaxing. I have my daughter's dog for the day, so we went out for a walk,
Nice.
kind of explored, and now I'm here waiting for watch a little college football. Now I'm waiting for our CU Buffs to play. Got that
Mhm.
Louis right there.
Yes, sir.
And then tomorrow, the big game, the pros, Denver Broncos against Chargers. I'm pretty excited about that. It's always a good game. Division games are always intense. They always come down to the last, whoever has the ball last kind of situation. So let's see how this goes. And Broncos are looking good so far. So let's see if they can hold on to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you,
shoot.
you mentioned the big game tomorrow for the Denver Broncos, and it's it's big in the sense that you alluded to it. It's a division opponent, and both of these teams, KB, are coming in with top flight defenses. So that's what makes this even more intriguing. Of this game can really go either way. You expect in the past, right? The Chargers will always put up a bunch of points and will lose. Like those
Yeah.
close games, like a 34 to 31 or like, 40 to 38. But with Jim Harbaugh in the fold and kind of what we've seen over the past several weeks, this is more of a gritty team, especially when it comes to the running game. And that's been a point of emphasis. And obviously, they play pretty good defense as well, based on what we have in the rankings. But we will get to that game here shortly. But we want to see who all is in the chat. Say hey to a few folks. We got Mr. David Youngkin coming in. I lived through the hurricane. Yeah, David, we saw that. I haven't been around in a few days. So what's new? Hopefully
Yeah.
everything is, better. And again, prayers out there for everyone that, went through. Well, I know Hurricane Helene and now Milton. So my prayers are out there, and
Yeah.
hopefully everything
Yeah.
is
Hopefully
is good there, man.
everybody's healthy, safe, damage is low.
Yep.
But main thing is, yeah, just how like a healthy family, everybody's safe and stuff. But yeah, that's brutal. You live in those beautiful areas, and every once in a while, yeah, they have those hurricanes that run through there, and it's terrifying. So hopefully everybody's all right.
Yes, for sure. And I'm seeing you in the chat here, David. That you're still out of power and you're at your brother's house. So again, my apologies, my man. I know it's tough, but hopefully everything gets restored sooner sooner than later.
Mhm.
But we're praying for you, my guy. And thank you for joining us, even at your brother's house with internet. So we always thank you
Yeah.
for hopping in the chat, man. All right, let's see who else we got. KB, we got Mike S coming in. Thank you, Mike. Says, "What's up, Dylan or KB, Ron Scott and Broncos country? What's up with you, Mike? Hopefully you are
Oh,
doing well,
yeah.
my guy."
Thanks
And
for
he's
the well
coming in.
wishes, though, too, Mike. About he gave me some well wishes about the CU game.
Mm, okay,
Um, yeah, it was a tough break for with Alabama. They lose last week, right?
they did.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're gonna bounce
Hmm.
back though. They're
They won today. Alabama won today, so
yeah, they're a team. It's like
by
they
this
can lose
much.
one, they can lose two. they're gonna play so impressive. This and now that the playoff is bigger now, it's like was it 12 game or 12 teams? I think it's 12 teams. They're gonna get in no matter what. They would get in if it was a 4 team. So, yeah, it's exciting to see CU relevant again, even if there's a lot of hate out there. Like Zach always says, let them hate.
Yeah, we got Mike S coming in here again. Hoping to get the Broncos game tomorrow on CBS. Don't get to watch too many, and it's the same here with me as well, Mike. It's trying to find Broncos games when you're living on the East Coast. It is a little tough, but I do have some ways if you want to connect offline. If you're having issues kind of getting them, I can show you some ways possibly. I do have ways of streaming them, but we can talk. I know obviously you think YouTube TV, NFL Network, those things that you can access them there as well. But I know it's tough, but I try to, at least if I can't watch the whole game, KB and Mike, I'll try to watch some good highlights.
They do a pretty good highlights after the game on YouTube through the NFL Network. But sometimes if you're on the East Coast, there is a Bronco bars sometimes in the areas. You can link up with the fellow Bronco fans, and that's kind of cool. A little camaraderie.
For sure. Thank you, Mike, again for coming in. We got the Papa Bear, Mr. David McElrath, coming in. Thank you, David. It's always good to see you, my guy.
Thank you so much.
He says, "Good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag 10-7. Hashtag Let's Go Bo." Yes, that 10-7. It's right now. It's appearing to be a lot more realistic than once anticipated. So if the Broncos keep on playing good, solid football, David, 10-7 is not out of the realm of the possibility. Especially kind of going down for that wild card. The higher wild card spot, the better. But we'll see how it all unfolds. But I'm liking kind of the trajectory of this team, KB. And, if the defense can be consistent, right, kind of adhere to playing how we've seen them play, with offenses still taking some strides forward. The offense has gotten better over the past few weeks. I think this is a team that can definitely make some noise late in the season and definitely solidify a wild card spot. Thank you, David.
Yeah. Definitely, it's this defense needs to be this defense up for all 4 quarters, and at least until the offense can show any kind of consistency. They did have a nice game against Tampa Bay, but the Raiders game, it was awesome after the game, but the beginning of that game didn't start too well. They had multiple drives where they didn't do anything. Gardner Minshew went down the field at will, and not at will. I remember we stopped him a couple of times in some 3rd and longs. But he took off running a couple of times, and then with the Bowers for the touchdown. So it looked a little rough in the beginning until the PS2 pick 6. But it's a defense that'll hold you in there. But they just can't be a team that falls behind by 2 touchdowns. They really have to watch out on their turnovers. They've really improved on that, and it's really nice to see because turnovers are brutal. Like you can have an amazing drive, and then Melvin Gordon checks in, and you all know what happens when Melvin Gordon checks in. He either gets a touchdown or he fumbles it, and just destroys the entire momentum of the game. But I'm sorry, picking on Melvin Gordon. He actually did get a lot of touchdowns for us, but he had some crucial fumbles, and that's what we had to really avoid if we want to continue to be successful, because this defense seems like it's here to stay. Also, did you see online where they talked about their coming up with a nickname for the 2?
Yeah, I did see. I saw a few other Denver Broncos media outlets, and also Patrick Surtain talked about it as well, where they're trying to figure out what the. Of course, they can't go back to no-fly zone. I know there are 2.0s out there, but you can't do that. So I know there have been some names that have been floated around.
Yeah, I like the Showtime. Somebody said Showtime because Pat Riley is the
Pat
coach of
Riley.
the Showtime, and so
Yeah.
Patrick Surtain and Riley Moss.
Yeah, I
They
heard
both
like
pretty-
PS2 and X Moss 360. I think I heard that one as well.
Yeah.
So there, like I said, there have been quite a few that have been
Okay.
out there.
Okay.
But again, thank you, David, for coming in. Again, hopefully, again, if the Broncos keep going, we'll see what happens. So you mentioned KB how the Raiders game started, and I want to kind of add on to that with kind of how I see this game unfolding, and at least from the start, how the Broncos should kind of think about this. I think one of the biggest things that the Broncos have to focus on when it comes to the Los Angeles Chargers is stopping the run on defense, because that's one of Jim Harbaugh's philosophy: running the football. You don't see Herbert out here throwing for an abundance of yards. And so, you see how this offensive line has kind of been structured. He's molded it kind of within his own vision of just letting J.K. Dobbins and folks just run the football. And you saw in the Raiders game, I think it was Madison, I believe, you saw Madison break off for quite a few long runs. And so that's kind of where, my thing is that the Broncos have to, that this defensive line, and this is kind of one of my keys to victory is, having a defensive line have a day. They have to, get pressure, make sure they can move up and see if they can stop J.K. Dobbins in this running attack, because if you let that go, then it might be a long day here for Denver. But I think that's one of the key focuses, because you're right. In the Raiders game, it was more of a balanced attack. In the Raiders game, when it came to Minshew, Brock Bowers started to gain some chemistry, and then they went on their next drive. They went on right down the field, and think about it: if in the red zone, it was going to be, they were going to go up probably 17-3.
Yeah.
And so that swing, that 10-point swing, is huge when Patrick Surtain had that pick six. So that was big. And so again, you just can't have, again, on that drive, again, a lot of those big runs. And again, I'm not so worried about the Broncos secondary as much, because again, I think what we've seen from PS2 and Riley Moss, I think they can lock it down. But again, you just cannot have this running attack of the Chargers. You just can't have it go. You have to contain it.
Well, yeah, those cornerbacks you named, plus McMillan, Jaquan, and Brandon Jones, and little PJ Locke. Yeah, I feel like PJ Locke's maybe not as high skilled as those guys, but he's definitely playing out there like every down is his last down. So the effort's there. Sometimes he's just not there in time, or he's a little too aggressive and stuff like that. But those guys are the ones that are gonna allow Vance Joseph to really pack in that box and eliminate a J.K. Dobbins from, or try to eliminate a J.K. Dobbins from having a big game. And then the guy who that we have on our defensive line who never takes a day off is Zach Allen. He's always in the backfield. And if he's not in the backfield, he's taking on double teams and allowing other people to get in the backfield. So if we can have a big game out of Zach Allen, I think it bleeds over into the other guys on the defensive line. And I think that it'll make a really long day for J.K. Dobbins.
Great point. And that's one of the sentences that I have here in my notes, that I expect Zach Allen to have a good day. Like, I expect him to have, I would say, 2-3 sacks.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Maybe
awesome.
I'm that's my bold prediction, I guess. I don't even know this is really that bold, quite honestly, but yeah, I think
my bold prediction, not even prediction, but my bold statement, I guess. When I see him, I see JJ Watt. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I see the way same, like not the same effect on the game. I mean, a poor man's JJ Watt, but it's just like he's always in the play.
In the play, around the ball. He and JFM. Those two. Like it's because when I was at the Tampa Bay game, like his name, JFM's name was announced, I think, pretty much near every defensive play.
Wow.
Tackle made by John Franklin Myers. It's like, so it's either him or Zach Allen.
And they still haven't signed Reddick, right?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they still have. No, they still haven't.
Still unsigned.
So
did you get Gary Leeds-Palmer's?
Yes, that's who I was hitting up next. Thank you, KB, and thank you, Gary Palmer, for coming. Thank you so much, Gary.
Appreciate that.
He says, "Evening, Ron and Ken on Orange and Blue View." Hello to you too, sir. Look forward to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Go Bo and go Broncos. Yes, Gary. Go Bo, go Broncos. Thank you for coming in again, my guy. We appreciate it, and it's always good to see you in the chat, Gary. Hopefully, you're having a nice weekend, my guy.
Yes. What do you think? I guess they said this defense up to this point in the season has actually allowed less yards and points than the 2015 defense.
Yes. So I did hear about that. Did some research, and yeah, less yards, less points. Okay. But the 2015 defense still leads when it comes to the number of takeaways.
Oh, okay.
Within the first 5 weeks. Yeah. So there are some similarities where it makes it, kind of somewhat on par with the 2015. And again, they've been playing quite well. I still, going to go with the 2015 defense.
Obviously. Yeah, it's really hard to compare
the Super Bowl, but
them and the no-fly zone, and you feel like you're not really giving the no-fly zone and the 2015 team justice.
Right.
But they really are playing at an extremely high level to where maybe they don't have the Von Miller names on their squad, but
the guys are making, they're making their assignments. They know where to be, and they're making plays. And that's all you can ask of a quote unquote no name defense. But again, Gary, thank you for coming in with that chat. We appreciate it. So going back to what you said earlier, and we'll get to the rest of you guys here shortly in the chat. We appreciate you guys coming in once again. With you and Eric, we're talking about, and that's a good point about the Chargers defense when it comes to the passing defense, because they're ranked obviously number one overall in total defense, but where you can get them is in the passing game. I think they're ranked 9th overall. So there's a little bit of opportunity there. I mean, obviously 9th's a good ranking, but there's still some opportunity there. And I know when I've seen some of the Chargers, some of their games, Dylan, they can get, beat downfield in some of those big plays. They can. So that leads me to another one of my takeaways, which is I want Sean, we know the whole sideline debacle that happened.
Oh, yeah.
But I do want, obviously that came right after that Troy Franklin incomplete pass, which should have been caught. But let turn Knicks loose. I think given what some of these statistics say and what we've seen from the Chargers when it comes to big plays down the field on defense, have more of those plays with Troy Franklin, have more of those plays with Marvin Mims. Now, again, you can't expect them to connect on every play, but, if they can connect on 2 out of 6, 3 out of 7, right? Given how this game is expected to go, more low scoring, kind of keeping things close. I think some of these huge plays, if they can connect on a few of them, can maybe kind of definitely, determine the outcome of the game. So, use Bo Nix, have him kind of use his arm and get Franklin involved. Again, I know Franklin was close to catching that, but, try that play again with Franklin. And, maybe that next time he can connect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he slows up and he draws the pass interference. If maybe he underthrows it a little bit, or I don't know. Maybe he threw that ball because he had him on his fantasy team. I don't know. That was those gloves. I'm telling you, you can catch anything with those gloves. I understand at the speed that you're running at and the ball's coming, whatever, and it's everything that is involved of catch. You're not just like catching the ball like at a standstill. So like, but those gloves, you can catch anything with those gloves, and that's what I feel for him. It's got to be in his head because that used to be one of the most terrifying things is just playing catch with anybody with like a pickup football is being open for that huge touchdown pass and just waiting for it forever to come to you. And then you're just terrified you're going to drop it. Especially if you've dropped it before. So like, hopefully he can get past that. Because if he can't, it's essentially a waste of a roster spot.
Yeah,
because you got all that speed, and if you're not a gunner or something like that, something else where you can offer that speed comes into play, then you really don't offer too much to the team.
Yeah, I mean the big playability. I mean that's the speed, the quickness, the big play. I mean that's why they drafted Franklin. And again, I know there were some concerns coming out of Oregon, and especially when it came to the drops. But I just think.
I agree with you though. You got to still keep throwing it out there to them, and you got to him and Mims and just keep them the safeties from crowding the box and giving Javonte a little more daylight.
Exactly. Yep. Then we got Paul Shatter coming in. New name for me, but thank you, Paul, for coming in. Says Chargers need to run the ball to win. Broncos need to be able to pass against a banged up secondary. Yeah. So Paul, that's kind of the gist here for me is the first point you made. That's their formula. That's how they've won these games. And I believe there's a stat out there. Don't quote me, but I think if the Chargers if they have over 100 yards rushing, they win the game. If it's under, they lose.
Oh, okay.
Or something to that effect. Yeah. So again, that's their formula. So it's just a matter of can the Broncos stop that formula? And again, they have the horses to do it. I want to see it done consistently because that's going to be a key focus of theirs. And then, as it pertains to the Broncos, Paul, they should be able to pass. They should be able to, as I just mentioned earlier, have those opportunities where they can connect on not only just the short and intermediate passes, but I want to see some more deep ones as well. Roy coming in.
Yeah, he expects a low sloppy game tomorrow, a low scoring one. I could see that, especially with a hampered Justin Herbert with a high ankle sprain. Who knows if he gets hit once or just he's doing fine and then he just kind of tweaks it and we got a backup in there and it turns into, like you're saying, like a sloppy game where you're kind of running the ball and you're just trying to move the change and just time of possession situation, trying to just get just enough points to win the game. I guess that's what you're trying to do every time, but like a 13 to 17 point and hopefully your defense can hold people off. I don't know. I think I'm hoping Knicks doesn't have another one of those games where it's kind of the timing's off. They're really short passes. They're all passes
behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, behind the line of scrimmage. I want them to open it up a little more for them, but I understand why you can't. The turnovers have gone away pretty much. So you just got to find that happy medium with that. But I don't mind a sloppy game either. Like the win is a win, and I like when we show that we're more aggressive and physical than another team because those are the games that you play in the playoffs. So if you can win those games in the season, you can win those games in the playoffs.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Roy, for coming in. We appreciate it. Want to grab Phil McLaughlin here. Thank you, Phil. It's always good to see you, my guy. From Facebook, he says, "Evening, Ron and Kenneth. Go Mile High Huddle podcast." Yes, thank you for that. Daily Denver Broncos coverage. Yes, we have a podcast every day, Phil. So again, that's for everyone out there. Please tune in. We greatly appreciate everyone's questions, comments, support, all of it. And make sure you subscribe, like, and share too. So thank you, Phil. We appreciate that. Let's see who else we have in the chat. I think I saw a comment in there from Lawrence. Lawrence Rivera coming in. Thank you, Lawrence. He says, as a Colorado football fan, I think CU, because of them, CSU is finally becoming a football town. I literally rode through Fort Collins today and just wow.
They played pretty well. I actually caught their game. They were playing a 4-1 San Jose State, and they won. They almost blew it in the end. But CSU won. I think they're 3-3 now. I'm a fan of both teams. I'm more of a CU guy. I grew up a CU fan, but I root for them both. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see the town's getting more excitement through it. College towns. I mean, if you live there and you're older, and maybe it's nicer when your team isn't that good. A little more quiet around your house, not as much damage, but it's exciting to see those towns excited for successful teams, I guess.
Yeah, and I know what. Yeah, you live right there in Denver. See, I don't, but I know with CU, it's obviously with Prime coming in, it's a lot of eyes on Colorado. It's been good to see, I would say. Yeah. And so again, not too much on CSU, unfortunately. I think I did catch the game when CU played them earlier the season, but haven't really been watching much CSU. But yeah, definitely I do.
That's what CU games. You have to have some kind of college package to watch CSU games.
Oh, that's okay, makes sense. All right, but yeah, again, thank you, Lawrence, for coming in with that. And then we had Phil again. I want to grab Phil again from Facebook. Thanks, Phil. I think Knicks could have a 300 passing yard game. Just got to get Pookie over 100. Yeah, Phil. That first sentence is kind of where my head is. That if Peyton can have plays where you can get the playmakers down the field, a 300-yard passing game isn't out of the realm of the possibility. Again, the receiver just have to catch the ball. Obviously, we just can hope that they can catch it. But if that happens, and then obviously Vele is coming back.
Josh Reynolds
Reynolds is out. Going to be out a few weeks after the surgery. So, I'm really curious to see kind of how he looks when he gets back there on the field, Vele, because he was pretty good prior to him missing those games. But if the receivers can do their thing, Phil, and you're right on Pookie. The Pookie of rookie year is coming in now, KB. I mean, we're seeing Javonte kind of see those gaps and just run right at a lot of these defenders, taking on that contact. So, it would be nice to see Pookie, Phil, maybe not over. It would be nice to get him over, but maybe if he can get close to 100 yards, I think that'll be good.
I'll take like 70 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. Just that touchdown. Getting into the end zone is a big thing for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you got to have that guy who can put it in the end zone from 2 yards out.
Yep.
And if you don't, I mean, you got Estime's back.
Yep, and Estime coming off of IR. Yep.
Back in town.
I think I'm not sure how the Broncos are going to use. He might be questionable. They may give him questionable. Yeah, they may give him a week or two. And Damari Mathis questionable as well. All right. Wow. But thank you, Phil, for coming in.
That's awesome to have our cornerbacks playing that well and just having more depth coming back.
It is. Now, granted, I know we've had some injuries recently, but to have guys coming back like an Estime.
Yeah, too bad Estime can't play right tackle.
Exactly. Now, Damari Mathis, on the other hand,
maybe he can play right tackle. I don't know. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
No, I like Damari. Damari's a spotty player, but he's definitely a solid backup, I feel like.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe not your starter, but
for sure at this point, for sure. I mean, this secondary is already locked down. Raleigh Moss has definitely supplanted anything to which Damari Mathis can even do.
Yeah.
So,
it's too bad, but I don't know. It's nice to have depth. It's I'll be a greedy Bronco fan by just saying I want everybody to be starter worthy.
Always. So what? I guess, KB, let's get back to the game as far as kind of what else. Like, what are you looking for? Like, who? What are your keys to victory? Or maybe you have some matchups in mind. What are you thinking when it comes to uh, this divisional matchup tomorrow?
Yeah, just to see up how our offensive line, especially our right tackle, holds up. Because I mean, you got Joey Bosa is questionable.
Yes.
Khalil Mack is still playing, right?
Yes.
Khalil Mack has 13 sacks in 13 games against the Broncos. He's a little long in the tooth, but he just finds a way to perform well against us, like a Crosby or a Chris Jones. They're just career. They made their career off of playing the Broncos. I mean, they played exceptionally well everywhere else, but they definitely showed out here. So I'd like to see how our tackles hold up if they're gonna bring in some running backs to help block, maybe Burton or a tight end to help chip to hold those guys off, and how if that's gonna affect us on how many weapons we got out there. But yeah, I just want to see how the right tackle holds up, because we have a mobile quarterback, but you can only run so many times before you get hit pretty big, and that's something we can't have. So
Yes. That's a good one there, KB. The right tackle is, now to the next man up. Losing now, obviously McGlinchey gone for a while and Alex Palczewski out. It's going to be interesting to see.
What a bummer for Palczewski too.
Yes.
He was like going to secure himself a bag. Like he was going to play until McGlinchey came back, of course, but not McGlinchey definitely probably got his job back right away, but he definitely played himself into a definite roster spot for the future, and if not a decent trading chip down the line, or an insurance piece for McGlinchey to, if he continues to have injuries, we got a guy that can just step in and we don't lose a beat.
Yeah.
Well, me is a little bit, but he's definitely a serviceable right tackle.
I think we got better at that position with Alex Palczewski, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because with McGlinchey, it's the false starts, and things like that. You get some of those penalties, and you've just seen a good, solid showing from Alex Palczewski, and the fact that he's just been able to hold his own on that side.
Yeah.
And I think listen, I know when Mike McGlinchey is back at some point, you have to justify the contract. So at some point, I'm pretty sure they'll play him. But if you want to maybe hold out a few more weeks, if Palczewski comes back, healthy, just say, hey, sit out a little while longer. We're gonna, because I think his level of play is for me leading to him possibly being the right tackle of the future for the Denver Broncos. I mean, it's that good.
Hey, did we cut out for like a split second?
No, I can still hear you.
I think on my side for like a split second, like the whole screen went black.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was just saying that Lonnie said he had a nickname for Riley Moss. It's Thriller and Vanilla. Thriller and Vanilla. I like that.
That's good. I think that one, Lonnie, was floated as well.
Okay.
Either on X or something, but I saw that one too.
That's good. I like that.
In. All right, let's see. We got Dan Ward coming in from Facebook.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Let me get Dan here. Dan, thank you, Dan. Says Sean needs to get Bo a quicker start. And Dan, that's you took the words out of my mouth. That's kind of where I am. I think it needs, Dan, to that point, it needs to be a similar start with how they started off in Tampa Bay. That was a quick. Now I'm not saying if they want to receive upon the coin toss, that's fine. But that first Broncos drive needs to be something similar to that. A lot of those nice intermediate quick throws, Bo on the run. If they can get out to that good quick start, Dan, I think that'll set up this game nicely for Denver. Thank you for coming in.
I'd like to see them start out, like spread it out right off the bat and just give him an option if he sees the opening to take off and run. I think he can get a nice first down like right off the bat. And worst comes to worst, it's like a nice little field position to push the ball a little further down the field if they do have to punt it. But yeah, I want to see him. He gets hot here and there. But the beginnings are pretty rough. They're pretty. Yeah, they're behind the line. Yeah, they're just, and those passes are kind of hard to make because you got to throwing across the field doesn't seem like it's that far, but it's actually really far, and it takes a while to get there. And those are like cornerbacks. They lick their chops for those because they like to jump those routes, and they're going to start to jump those routes if they keep throwing them. They're going to be a pick six in there mixed in there. So maybe a little well, not like a hook and go, but the route, a stop and go, I guess you would say, to see if he can get those guys biting and then go deep on them maybe early in the game, because we do throw it to the sidelines a lot. Maybe we can use their aggressiveness against them and burn them down the field.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, those opportunities will be there to burn them down the field because KB, this secondary of the Chargers, they've always been overrated. And this year is no different. Their star corner, Asante Samuel's out. Derwin James is good. Derwin James doesn't really scare me a lot, though. So who else is on? I think Perryman is still one of the corners there as well. Cam Hart is another. So I think that's kind of what we were saying, is that down the field plays will be there, and I think the Broncos will be able to connect on something because the secondary just isn't really, again, that at least in my opinion.
Geraldo Leon talks about don't underestimate the Chargers defense. They did hold Patrick Mahomes to under 10 points for 3 quarters without Derwin James. Yeah, what's up with Patrick Mahomes too? I mean, they definitely, it's impressive no matter what, even if he is having a kind of a rough start to his season, to hold Mahomes to numbers like that. Like we've actually held him to those numbers pretty frequently, even though he beats us a lot of the times. They tend to beat us like as a team rather than him throwing 5 touchdowns. But that is impressive to hold him to 10 points to 3 quarters. That's brutal to lose a game when you hold Patrick Mahomes to 10 points in 3 quarters. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it is. I don't know. I'm hoping that Eric's right that they're frauds and that they haven't really been tested, and that Patrick Mahomes and them are having a rough season, and that's why they held him to that. But it's a division game. I guess it doesn't really matter who's good and who's bad. It's always going to be tough no matter what. I think what they said the last 10 of these 15 games, or no, maybe it's more than that, 12 or 15 games, it's been a 1-score game between the Broncos and the Chargers. And I think I think we sneak out of it at the very end. I don't know. Did you have a score prediction on them?
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end of the show. So let's see where we're at. We're at 38 minutes. Okay, so we got a little bit more time. So yeah, we will get to our score predictions, guys, at the end of the show. But before we do that, let's see who else we have. Just kind of looking back at the chat. I did see a few in here from Facebook. Hang on. And again, no, just me and Ken tonight, guys. No Scott. Dan Ward. Thank you, Dan, from Facebook. I want to see Sutton start to become more dominant presence. Not the type of numbers a number 1 wide receiver should be putting up. What are your thoughts on this one here, KB?
It was like last year, he wasn't really putting up the numbers, but when he was making catches, they were impactful catches. They were important. They were touchdowns. They were first downs. They were amazing catches. Man, that guy's got some hands. but it was almost like we had to start over a little bit with Bo Nix. He's tried to force it to him a couple times. Some of the routes weren't run as crisp as they needed to be. I think he'll definitely get better as the season goes along, but it is kind of sad to see them not really get their groove yet. But hopefully this is the first game that they start to like really get on the same page, because I mean you can't. Cortland Sutton is just, and he's, I don't know, he's a freak of nature. He's fast, he's big. If you throw it to him and there's 5 people around, there's like a 50% chance he's going to come down with it, even if there's 5 people. So hopefully they can get that relationship going.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up some good points, KB. Dan, I would say I agree with you overall. I think we kind of have to look at this though, just kind of in the context of, you know, how these 5 games have unfolded. I think you're now starting to see Sutton, you know, trying to get to be that true number one, that dominant. At least you're seeing that within some of the yards. I would say those first 2 games, you probably didn't see that just because those defenses were circling Sutton. I mean, so it was, you know, they knew that was Nix's primary target, so they were going to put emphasis on trying to defend that. But I think now, I think there's going to be opportunity where, especially now with Josh Reynolds kind of out for a few weeks now. Obviously, we know that some of these guys will step up. Hopefully, Vele, Lil Jordan Humphrey. We've seen some good plays from Lil Jordan Humphrey as well, KB. But I think,
yes, I'm impressed. You know, I'm impressed with him.
Yeah, I'm impressed. So again, we're seeing, you know, some of these other receivers step up. But again, I think with the absence of Josh Reynolds, you know, I think you're going to start to see, you know, that relationship, that chemistry between Nix and Sutton heat up as it moves forward.
Yeah, it's like we got a couple of fans in here that miss Timmy P. We all miss Timmy P here. He was when he played, he was a very reliable hands kind of guy. But yeah, now that we're on to the next page of the Denver team, hopefully the return of Vele can be a Timmy P light for the time being until the season progresses, I guess.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it was so good to watch. I forgot. I think it was. Yeah, it was the Detroit and the Seattle game. I think that was that Monday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last week? And they mentioned Timmy P's name and he caught that ball. I'm like, man, wish he would have still been a Denver Bronco. Yeah.
Wow. Man, I'm so. How are they doing? They're doing pretty good too, right? They've been good for the last few years.
Detroit is.
It's good to see him on a good team.
It's one of the best in the NFC. And their ability to run the ball with Montgomery and Gibbs, it's just.
Yeah, Montgomery's the running back that just won't go away. Yeah. People want to put him on the shelf for other younger running backs, and he just keeps producing. He's like Thomas Jones or Fred. I think Fred Jackson was another one like that.
Yeah.
Fred Jackson actually ran off Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. We got Phil coming in from Facebook. Thank you, Phil. Says, do you guys think with our corners shutting down the pass game, we can play man and put some sacks on Herbert, especially with the high ankle sprain? Yeah, for sure, Phil. I mean, yeah, the corner, again, with that trio at the cornerback position, I think they can defend anyone. And then you look at the receivers of the Chargers. I mean, outside of Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston, I don't think there's really anyone else on this wide receiver core. Maybe Josh Palmer. I know he's there as well. But I think that the receivers for the Chargers it's kind of a very weak room overall. Although Ladd McConkey has been playing well, I don't want to kind of undermine what he's been doing this season. But I think, given that shutting that down, you can just play man and, with those one-on-one matchups, those people could get home. And again, Phil, that's what we were saying, when it comes to this defensive line is Zach Allen can definitely get home and definitely take advantage, with Herbert and that high ankle sprain. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's definitely a possibility. And I'm pretty sure that's what Vance Joseph is thinking too.
Well, it looks like their third leading receiver is Will Disley, their tight end. So maybe that's somebody they will want to take advantage of because we always have issues with tight ends.
Yeah, good point.
But if he starts to show out, you already know who they're going to put on him. So then that guy will cease to exist because PS2 will just eat him up. But yeah, man, what a luxury to have a defensive back that could play anybody. He could play Travis Kelce to CD Lamb, and he can lock them both down. I don't know. It's insane.
Yeah. I love it though. I love it. And again, Phil, thank you for coming in with that comment. Let's just see who else. The chat's kind of going here, guys. So let's give it. Let me just see who else we have here. Our cornerbacks mean a lot. It brings in the interior defense a lot. Yeah, Roy, that's a good call out. Always pass rush and secondary, they go hand in hand. And it's good to see, the coverage of Surtain, Moss, and McMillan. And, giving time for that defense to just get home. And you're seeing that's why, you see plays where, the quarterback can't find anybody open because our coverage is so good. And then that gives time for Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, and Jonah Ellis, and Zach Allen, and John Franklin Myers.
I love it. I let you just all those home. Names you just list.
All those names. And also, KB and Roy, it's, depending on the package, obviously you've seen a lot of cover zero looks too. A lot of safety blitzes as well. Remember that prime safety blitz in the Jets game where PJ Locke was out there?
Oh, yeah.
So again, it gives, I guess what I'm saying is it just gives this versatility of the defense. It gives so much for Vance Joseph to work with. It gives so much diverse packages when it comes to defense. And that's why you're seeing, because of what the secondary can do, that D line is just, pick your poison on the defensive line. Now that this coverage is holding up, you see these guys coming in and getting their sack numbers. But yeah, that's a great point, Roy.
Running those single high safeties and putting Surtain and Moss out on an island, and then just bringing guys from all these different directions. And it's never like, oh, I know he's gonna come from this guy. This guy's a sack guy. This guy's a run stopping linebacker, but I don't know. It's like every one of those guys can rush the quarterback.
Yes.
They're not amazing Pro Bowlers. Even though I feel like Zach Allen is, and maybe Jonathan Cooper, but they, I don't know, they all do their job. They all do their job well.
Yep. No missed assignments. Like I said, everybody is right on their assignment and executing.
Like Lonnie's saying, and Strnad did that. He had a sack too, I think, in the last game or the game before. But he's playing out of his mind too. He was almost off the team, and essentially almost thought he was going to be out of the league. I was pretty high on him early on in his career. I saw some tape of him. I think it was playing for, was it Vanderbilt or it was a black and gold team. Maybe it was Vanderbilt.
Who was this? Oh, Strnad, where he came from?
Yeah.
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, that's what it was. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he was chasing and chasing down Lamar Jackson and sacking him. And he had all these great plays against Lamar Jackson. I was so excited. And then he just kind of didn't live up to the run defense side of it. But now he's playing so much more aggressive. I love to see him play.
Really well. Love it. Yes, I love to see Strnad. He got his number called and he's executing. He's good, man. He's doing well. Thank you, Lonnie, for coming in. All right, let's see. Okay, so I do have one other question, and then we'll get to injuries and then our prediction here. I wanted to grab. There was something from I think it was Paul. Let's see here. Yes, thank you, Paul, for coming in. This is a good question here. We should or a good comment. We should trade Browning for a tight end or Wilson. I guess or Wilson. You're meaning trade Zach Wilson for a tight. That might be what you're referring.
Yeah,
to. Just clarify that. But I think that's what you're
tight end.
Yes, tight end. You're trading Browning or Wilson for a tight end. If that's what you're saying. Tight end is, in my opinion, KB. Tight end is such a need for this team, and
what are you talking about? Jake Dulcich is amazing, dude.
I just think it's the biggest need right now, and if the Broncos want to be relevant, want to make a playoff push, they have to get stability at tight end. They have to. You see, I mean, with Dulcich, you had high hopes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's in the game, doesn't block well. When balls are thrown his way, he doesn't catch them. And it's like, well, why are you even in the game? Like, why did it even activate you? And I'm that I really wasn't surprised when he wasn't inactive last week. But I just think, again, if they're trying to do something this year, and I know Phil, I see our comment here, Phil, and I think that should be something they look into for the draft as well, maybe for depth. But I just think tight end is such a need for sure. I mean, I think with the receiver room, I know people are talking about some of the big name receivers. I really don't think, they'll probably kick the can down the road on receiver. I mean, I know they just picked up A.T. Perry from the Saints on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you kind of have some guys maybe from a development perspective, but I just think tight end is such, just because of what the tight end is asked to do in this offense, and you're not getting that consistently. Now I know some names have been floated. Obviously, Kyle Pitts from Atlanta, Mark Andrews from Baltimore. I think those are some of the names that were closely tied to the Broncos. And again, I'm just not sure if those are even feasible guys, because those two squads are winning as well right now. But I just think that should be, if you can maybe get someone that's really not, being used, and we do a phone call to some other team scout, I think that'll be good. But yeah, tight end is definitely a big thing, Paul. I agree that. Now, as far as the trade, I can maybe see either or, Browning or Wilson, perhaps. But yeah, I just think tight end is good. And I'll let you get here shortly, KB. But to Phil's comment here, our next tight end is going to come from the 2025 draft. And again, Phil, yes, I think if they don't make the call, before the trade deadline to get someone, then that's definitely something, again, they have as first priority in the draft, or look to in one of the later rounds for depth, for sure.
Well, there is what was it? Let me see standings. We have one terrible team that we could steal their tight end away, maybe, and that's David Njoku.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Cleveland is horrible. Their quarterback,
and they're
couldn't happen to a better person. No, it's I don't know. It's
Hunter Henry.
Too.
Yeah, Paul.
He always produces too.
Yeah,
because Hunter Henry and all those guys are. When I think of like a tight end that I would like that I wouldn't want to spend a ton on is back in the day with Peyton Manning when we had Owen Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
They got open. They knew how to do their job. It wasn't anything flashy, but they if you had a good quarterback who could find them, they could produce. And Hunter Henry's like one of those guys too. That would be nice to have him.
Yeah. Or Austin. I think isn't Austin Hooper on the Patriots as well? I believe it's both of them on the Patriots.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard of Austin Hooper forever. Remember, he was like
Yeah.
on Atlanta, and then he went to Cleveland, and then
Yeah, he went to Cleveland, and so I know he's kind of floated around the league as well. But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chap, I believe both of them are on the Patriots.
Dalton Knox, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
That tight end from Buffalo.
From Buffalo. Yeah, because I know with the emergence of Kincaid, maybe they can. But yeah, but again, thank you, Paul, for that comment. And yeah, and to the point here, Hunter Henry, that's definitely a viable option. But again, we'll see what the Broncos do here. All right, guys. So we're at 55 minutes. So let me run through some injuries, and then we'll give you our predictions. All right. So injuries for the Broncos. So we mentioned Audric Estime and Damari Mathis. They're both questionable. I don't think they're going to play. They're probably going to play it safe, just because they are coming back, from IR. But Josh Reynolds, Alex Palczewski, and Luke Wattenberg are out. So expect to see obviously more Devon Vele, Alex Forsyth at center as well. And then for the Chargers, Nick Neiman, the linebacker, is questionable. Asante Samuel Jr. is out. Deion Leonard is questionable. Rashad Slater is questionable, but I think he might be trending toward playing. Joey Bosa is questionable. Gus Edwards is out. And then Jasir Taylor, the cornerback, is out. All right, KB. So, prediction time. What is your prediction? How do you think the matchup with the Chargers is going to unfold?
So, I can't remember what I think I have it. I have it in. I'm pretty sure it was 23-13. But let me just double check real quick, James. And let's just go with 23-13. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is 23-13. That was like the second person that had it in there. But yeah, I felt like it was gonna be a close game just because it's a divisional game. But Bo's gonna find a way to lead down the lead a drive to get another field goal to put it to a 10-point game to kind of put it out of reach late in the fourth quarter. Then that's going to make them have to kind of play a little ridiculous with a not Hail Mary situation, but I don't know. I don't see it. Just put damn. I'm mumbling and stuff like that. And let me start over. I just think that the Broncos are going to pull away with that field goal, and the Chargers aren't going to have enough time to come back in the game. There, boom. That's better.
All right, so you have a Broncos victory, and looks like a lot of folks here in the chat are in agreement with you.
Yeah, we're all around the same 23-13 as I have, and they have 24-10, 20-10, 24-16. So
okay. So yeah, as far as this, how this game is going to unfold tomorrow.
Again, that was me.
As I said earlier, the Broncos have to focus on stopping the run of the Los Angeles Chargers.
I think this is the first time where we're supposed to win, I feel like. And we can't play like that. We got to play like they're the Chargers that everybody thinks they are with all that talent.
The Chargers that we've beaten,
once we
let up now.
That's a team that you don't want to wake up to go off on you, because Justin Herbert can go off on you if you can't get pressure on him.
And again, I think that's kind of where my focus is you have to be mindful or demure, like these young folks are saying nowadays, of the fact that Herbert has that injury, has that ankle sprain, and he's hobbled. So I think with that, it's, you can get pressure on them. This defensive line is more than capable, and I think they will, with them also stopping the run. So having said that, based on what I've seen from, both defenses, and based on what I've seen, from the Broncos from an offensive perspective so far, and that improvement, I do have the Broncos winning. But, it's going to be on the leg of Will Lutz. So I do see, near the end of the fourth quarter, Knicks drives them down in field goal range. And Will Lutz puts in the football to make it a 2017 victory for your Denver Broncos.
I always hate leaving it up to the kicker though, right? Especially when they always have to be like, oh, they've hit the last 14 of 14 field goals, and you're like, shut up. Like, I just want them to hit this one, and then you could say they hit 14 in a row or 15 in a row now.
Yeah.
But they tend to, they love to jinx the kickers.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, so I see a few other 33 Broncos. Harbaugh loses
stuff on somebody. Yeah, I almost clicked on that too, and then I was like, I don't know if I should.
Why are they just kind of doing the scores here?
So the Chargers are favored by 3 because the national pundits have an infatuation with the Chargers still. Just like they're kind of developing with us with Bo Nix. I think both of them are a little unearned. I think Nix is earning his. But Herbert and the Chargers haven't shown anything. They should
and I
lose every game.
Yeah, again, Lonnie, it's always disrespect. You know, I think I think the Chargers are really favored because I do think, you know, the national media, Vegas, they think that the Chargers roster is better. And also you got to look at the quarterback situation, and I mean the defenses are comparable too. So I think what they're probably looking at is who has a better roster, who has a better quarterback. And in their mind, that's the Chargers. You know, Herbert's experience now. So I think that's what's going into this favoritism. Why they're favored by 3. All right. So that concludes our show for tonight. Again, guys, it's been awesome having you all in the chat. We appreciate all of you for coming in with the questions, the comments, the support.
Both Ducks wore 10.
Jersey exchange. Ducks wore 10 jersey exchange. Yeah, that probably will happen.
That is cool.
And again, if you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Mile High channel on YouTube, and that you like the videos, and then you share across all of the platforms. It greatly helps us to get new listeners. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. I am at Ron White NFL. My co-host there is at Kenneth_MHH. If you have any questions, comments, make sure you tag us so we can look at them and answer them or respond, so on and so forth. Before we get out of here, we want to thank the folks who have contributed tonight. So we got David McElrath coming in. Thank you. Lawrence Rivera coming in as well. Thank you, sir. Gary Palmer. We got Roy Osborne, and then we got Dan Ward, and we also have Phil McLaughlin coming in from Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. And as Clayton mentions here as well, thank you, Clayton. Smash that like button and share. Please do that, guys.
Definitely.
We greatly appreciate it. All right. Well, that concludes our episode tonight. And we will talk to you all next week. You want to say something, Kenner?
Yeah, it's like if you're not watching the CU game tonight, like I will be, and you want to watch some Broncos, and you can't wait until tomorrow. They do have on YouTube an excellent it's a replay of the Broncos Chargers when we were down by 24 with Peyton Manning.
Oh, the Peyton Manning one. Yeah.
Okay. And it cuts out all the commercials, but it plays it's not just the game. They do the sideline speeches and all that different stuff that's mixed in there. So it's a pretty entertaining watch if you're not really a college football person and you want to watch some Broncos. So I definitely recommend it. I've already seen it a couple times. I've actually seen the Broncos Elway and Montana last game against each other too.
Okay.
When he played for KC, when Montana played for KC. Didn't go as how I wanted to at the end, but it was an amazing game. So I recommend that one as well.
Cool. Thank you. And as Clayton mentions here, we're going to be lights out right now. as this defense is currently playing. So again, thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you all next week, and please enjoy the divisional matchup with the Chargers tomorrow. Until next time, go Broncos.
I'm going lights out with it.
Go Broncos, guys. Thanks.
Go Broncos.